is Danielle Heater, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about livestock showing and what it did for me personally. A lot of people have a few deceptions about it, and I just want to talk about my personal experience and how it affected me as a person. I started livestock showing whenever I was in the 3rd grade. I did have an older brother who was a grade above me, and so I got to watch him his first year and kind of see what all went into it. You can start showing whenever you're 9 years old if you're in the 2nd grade, but generally it's 3rd grade whenever everybody starts. There's many different kinds of shows that you can go to. We went to Tri-State Fair, our county show, San Antonio Livestock Show and Rodeo, Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo, and the Fort Worth Livestock Show and Rodeo, and also the Austin Livestock Show, which those last 4 that I named are called major shows, and that's where everybody around Texas comes to compete. It is big, and it's a lot of competition, so you always want to take your best competition to those shows. Tri-State Fair is kind of like a warm-up for your pig, for your steer. It just kind of depends. I've showed pigs and steers throughout my career, and I did have some success. We kind of had what was called a family curse at Fort Worth, and I did get to experience a very, very, very awesome time whenever I broke the family curse and placed out Fort Worth. But before we get into all that, I want to talk more about what goes into livestock showing and how it does teach you to be a better person. Livestock show, you get the pigs whenever they're babies, and also steer whenever they're a baby. And you want to start working them and making sure that they get used to you. And that takes being out there every day in their pen, petting them. Whether they're running around the pen crazy, or if they don't want to be haltered, you still have to be out there every single day working them. And that teaches you a little bit more responsibility to go with it. And also, they have to be fed just like you do. It's not like it's just a dog or anything else that can go without being fed, maybe once or twice a day. But pigs and steers, show pigs and show steers, do have to be fed at least twice a day. Sometimes pigs would get on a diet of being fed 3 times a day, just depending on their weight gain and how much they needed to gain. So, as in my family, we were responsible for getting up and feeding our livestock. My brother and I constantly went out every morning before school and would feed our livestock. That does teach you responsibility and does show you that you have to have some form of work ethic to take on these projects. Now, whenever we go in and start talking about feeds, there's a lot of different kinds of feeds that can go into your livestock. Probably one of the coolest things that we fed a pig was pancake mix. Sometimes they like to be stubborn and they don't want to eat, so you get to try all these little knickknacks. Like sometimes we put like syrup on there, and pancake mix is really good because it's sweet and they like it, and it's not bad for their digestive system, and it's not going to mess with any of their show qualities that you really want in a pig. And then steers, it's more complex. They can't have a lot of things due to their stomachs, and also there's just a little bit more that goes into feeding a steer. It's a little bit more pricey, obviously, because they're bigger animals and they require more feed, so you have to obviously have more feed for the whole time being. And whenever we get into the showing part, that's where a lot of people have some deceptions about it, because pigs are actually showed with either a pipe or a whip. A whip, not one that has a long curl on the end, and that you see like people in Spain like whipping the ground to make the bulls run and that kind of stuff. That's not the type of whip it is. It's a elongated whip that's probably about this long, and then it's got just a little bit of a curl on the end, but it's not leather. It is just more of a floppy piece of the whip, and that's what you use to get their head up and to kind of make them go. It just gives them that extra pop that they need, because pigs are stubborn. They really are. They like to have their own mindset. They are very smart, and that's why you have to be stern with them and let them know that you are in control. It's actually called driving a pig, and it's because you are steering where they go. You can use the whip in their eyesight. You can put a whip on either side to make them turn, and a good, well-trained, drivable pig will turn whenever they'll turn left whenever you put the whip up to their right eye. You don't hit them in their eye. You just put it up to their right eye, and they'll take a turn. And also you hit them like more on their flank to make them go. If they've just like stopped, you don't have to hit them hard. You just kind of tap to like get them going. And most importantly, you want to keep their head up. It keeps their back at a level pace instead of an arch, because you don't want the arch. It's not acceptable in the show world. It's just something that's kind of changed over time. It used to be, it's kind of weird to think about, but it used to be judges did want the arched back of the pigs, but they don't want it now. So and whenever we go into showing steers, you actually have a halter and a stick that has a point on the end, because you want to set their feet in a certain position that makes them look the best. And that's what the stick is used for. You don't hit the steer at all. They just drive by their halter. And you are completely in control. You cannot be scared with the steer because they sense it. It's just like horses. They sense fear, so you have to be comfortable with them whenever you're driving a steer around the arena. And whenever we go into talking about shows, county show is a warm-up for the major shows, and it always goes Fort Worth, San Antonio, Austin, and then Houston. That's the order, and you don't have to go to all 4 shows. We did, though, as a family. It's just a lot of good experience, and it gives you more chances, more opportunities to win. And I'm going to show you some pictures from my San Antonio experience, where I did have a little bit of luck and received reserve champion Hampshire. Hampshire is a breed of pig, and that means I had the second best hamp in the barn, and I got to show in the grand drive, and so that was a very big experience. And I'll also talk about the award after I get done flipping through these pictures for y'all. Here's a picture of me showing, and I'm actually showing it in my class. In this one, you can see that my pig's head is up, and you can see the whip where I am pulling his head up with that, just tapping him under the chin lightly. Here's another shot of my pig. You can see that he is very muscled up and has a lot of bone. That is a very good quality of a pig there. This is one of my favorite pictures. It does show the judge looking at my pig. I have a lot of respect for these judges, just because it does show that they do have dedication to come out and watch for days on days at these major shows, just pigs coming in and out, in and out, and they are expertise in this field. I've made lifelong friends. This is the gentleman who had champion Hampshire, and I took reserve behind him. He is one of my very good friends still to this day, and this was taken 2 years ago. I did receive a scholarship, a $10,000 scholarship from San Antonio Livestock Show and Rodeo, because I did win. And this is a picture of me with the scholarship presenters before the grand drive. This is actually from Houston. This is my little sister and I. It's a very big deal to get a trophy at Houston. It means that you did win your class or you took a higher title. And I had lightweight division Hampshire there, and that just means that I won the lightweight division of the Hamps. Here's a picture of me showing in Houston. You'll kind of see the difference in the rings. Houston uses more of like a green wood chip that they dye in their ring, and San Antonio uses dirt. And here's a picture of me shaking the judge's hand. That is one of the best feelings in the world, is to shake their hand. And honestly, the best words that I heard my senior year was, "A young lady in the blue will be your reserve champion Hampshire at San Antonio." And that was just great to hear that. It's an amazing feeling whenever you get to shake that judge's hand after he tells you that you won. And whenever we talk about steers, steers go to Fort Worth. You can take them to San Antonio and Houston, and those are slick shear shows. But here's a picture of me at 5 in the morning. We were fitting the steer, and that just means that they're clipping on him, getting his hair just perfect. This was on show day at Fort Worth. You can tell that I'm a little bit tired there. Stock show does make you tired, and it builds up your endurance. And here's a picture of me and Buddha. His name was Buddha, and it's just because he got really fat whenever he ate. His stomach just bloated out. And then here's a picture after I won 7th place at Fort Worth, and that was an awesome moment for me. All this happened in my senior year, so that was very cool. But I did not actually win anything until my senior year, so it was very neat for me to see myself progress and to work my way up to that point that I started to know what they looked for in a hog and what was a good steer and that kind of stuff. Then that's just something that you learn over time. Some people have just a natural sense that my brother and I took a little bit for us to get worked up to that point. I do plan on putting my kids in stock show whenever I do have them. It is a great learning experience. It teaches them responsibility, helps them as a person in general, and it just teaches them a very good work ethic. And I think that is one of the most important qualities that you can hold, especially for future jobs. And I will always support the livestock industry, no matter what deceptions people have of it. But livestock show has done a lot for me, and I know it's done a lot for a lot of other people too. And that's just my take on livestock show.